hero RB, zero running back, robust RB. There are a plethora of ways to dominate your fantasy football league. Strategies left and right, all of which I believe should go through best player available checkpoints at the top of your draft strategy. Meaning, okay, best player available is taking me down this road. But when picking between different draft strategies that you're led to in your draft, because you're using flow of draft to dictate where you go, you do not cement your plan in. Travis Kelce is one of the best draft strategies of all of 2023. This isn't to say I don't love drafting Okonkwo and Kincaid and doing a lot of the
surprise top 5
tight end predicting draft strategies. I love doing that. But there's a big reason why I'm not usually into the idea of drafting Kelce in round 1. I'm telling you why things are different this year. I'm here to tell you why this man right here, taken in round 1, is more advantageous than ever in 2023. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show.
So usually I'm all about, okay, I'd rather go with the wide receiver, the running back in round 1, come back around and grab the Hawkinson, the Darren Waller of the coming season. Usually always my approach. Why? Because usually if you draft a Kelce in round 1, what ends up happening in years past is you've got a really light team going on by the time you get to round 3 and 4. And you end up with a team in the past that would look something along the lines of like Travis Kelce. If we equate it to this year's draft capital and everything, it would look something like Travis Kelce, Stevenson, Ridley, and this is all good at this moment, but then it starts to drop off. Then you're looking at like a Mike Evans and maybe an Alexander Madison, and then like that's your team. It just looks so dried up by the time you got to like round 4 and 5, and you look at a team like this and you'd be like, okay, you got Kelce, that's a great advantage, but you are kind of lacking all over. You got Madison and Stevenson, you got Evans and Ridley. I love Ridley, but it's just like a very light looking team, and it never ended up amounting to what I felt was like a team somebody will look at and go, holy crap, how did you even get that team? The difference between previous years doing the Travis Kelce approach and this year is the depth at running back and wide receiver. It is so deep. There are no dead zones. People talk about dead zone all the time. There are no dead zones in 2023 at all. Running back is deep all the way until the position just runs out. That's not dead zone. That's just you ran out of inventory. And the same thing at wide receiver. And so this is the one year where if you look at a team that has Travis Kelce in round number 1, you end up having this squad that at the end of it, you look at it and you say to yourself, how in the hell does that team have Travis Kelce? It looks like he didn't even go tight end early. And so if we say, let's call this Kelce in the middle of round 1. So let's write him into the middle of round 1. So Kelce here, let's call this Olave. Even though that's a reach to some people, this is a good way to look at it. We're doing like almost worst case scenario. Then you get Jahmyr Gibbs in round 3. And then in round 4, we're probably looking at a Justin Fields. In round number 5, we're looking at a potential Walker. He's been falling into the 5th round like clockwork. Then you have guys like Dotson, Pacheco, Pickens, Alvin Kamara. In the past, you'd be looking at teams built similar to this using today's draft capital, just constructing it in a way that would represent what it would look like. A Kelce, a Higgins, a Jacobs, and Evans, a Cousins. Again, not bad players, just telling you that it doesn't feel like a team that was built without taking Kelce in round 1. It was one of those, okay, that's why your team looks a little light at running back and wide receiver. You took Kelce in round 1. Whereas this year, you literally could remove Kelce from the equation and say, okay, what's this team look like? Oh, Olave, Gibbs, Burrow, Walker, Dodson, Pacheco, Kamara, maybe Pickens as well. You could accumulate all those players while also drafting Kelce in round number 1. It's just a deeper running back and wide receiver pool in 2023, more so than normal. Kamara is a steal. He looks absolutely fantastic. Yeah, he's going to be out 3 games, but this offense in the preseason, I know it's preseason, ran everything through Kamara in in one drive, and he looked the part. And you can get guys like Pacheco and Kamara and George Pickens and Dotson like in the 6+ round territory and accumulate players that can step up and be role players for you. Walker falling very far, cuff him to Charbonnet. Burrow's falling. Fields is climbing, so maybe Burrow's the guy you take at quarterback. But even Fields, even if you grab Fields in 3 or 4, you can still accumulate a team like this. Even if it's not Olave, use the process, not players. Maybe you want Ridley, and Ridley would be early in round 2. So I'm doing some worst case scenario team building here as a way to emphasize my point. Ridley would be early in round 2. Gibbs falls in round 3 all the time. Burrow 4. Walker falls there all the time. Dotson, Pacheco, Kamara. This is an attainable team using Travis Kelce early first round, and it doesn't look like a team that drafted a tight end early like in years past. I know it's something that like you know already, you know, an obvious type of thing, but I just want to preach it a little more and say that if I'm ever going to deploy a Travis Kelce early draft strategy, it is in 2023, more so than any other year I've ever played fantasy football. And I'm tired of hearing about dead zone wide receiver territories, dead zone running back territories. There are none. Obviously, there's never a dead zone in round 1 with running backs, but round 2, people say, oh, it dries up. No, it doesn't. Chubb, Barkley. My favorite player in round 2 is Tony Pollard. Round 3 would be the only round where I say, okay, there's only a few running backs I would take, but it's not a dry zone. There are tons of running backs that go in round 3. My favorite is Gibbs, and I do tend to shift to wide receiver or even a Fields or a potential other quarterback in round 3. Hurts is looking really good when he falls to round 3. This is probably the only round 3, where I am going Gibbs, or I'm not really going any other player. I no longer like Ramondre Stevenson there. I don't like Josh Jacobs there. I don't even like Jonathan Taylor there. You heard me correct. I won't draft Jonathan Taylor in round number 3 in 2023. It's the biggest avoid there is. No way I'm touching him. Don't have to go Najee because he falls another round. So round number 3 is the interesting one, but not dead. Just better wide receiver value is all that is. That's not dead zone material. Round number 4, ETN, Najee Harris, even Breece Hall, but I do prefer Breece Hall around number 5, which brings us to round 5, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker in 4 as well. So Walker could go in each of these rounds. Breece Hall could go in each of these rounds, but Breece Hall right now is better in round 5. ETN's in 4, like I said. My favorite running back in round 5 by far is Kenneth Walker. Breece Hall would be number 2 on my list. Both of those guys in round 4. ETN in round 4, sometimes round 3 if need be. Najee in 4, sometimes round 3 if need be. I'm looking at a draft right now on Underdog to try and pull up a couple names that I could toss out in round number 6, and Kenneth Walker is there in round number 6. It's crazy. So I don't want to hear he's not going to 5 on the regular. I'm looking at an Underdog fantasy promo code Smitty, by the way. They'll match up to $100 in your first deposit using code Smitty. The link is in the description of every single video, and this is how we draft during the graveyard shift. So click that link that's in the live chat anytime I'm doing drafts, or in the description right now of this video and every video, and they'll match up to $100 in your first deposits. Don't miss out. But I'm sitting here looking at an Underdog draft right now, and in round 6 is Kenneth Walker, and it's just absolutely asinine. He's 6.1, but it's crazy. DeAndre Swift, Isaiah Pacheco. I'd take Pacheco as early as 6 if I had to go RB. Kamara in round 7. Kamara's a fantastic steal in round number 7. Khalil Herbert in 8 if you want to go a little early. Charbonnet in 9, 10. McKinnon in 10, 9, 10, 11. Montgomery seems to go in 6 or 7. That's fantastic value. Even though I love Jahmyr Gibbs, they can live independently. I'd have to say Pacheco, Swift, and Kamara are kind of my favorites in this territory here. Those are the guys that I lean to. And Khalil Herbert. Dameon Pierce I love a lot in this like territory right in here. The point is there's no dead zone this year. There's no dead zone at running back. There's no dead zone at wide receiver. And this makes such an amazing strategy in 2023 because it's almost unfair in a way that it hasn't been unfair in years past. It's been unfair to have Kelce against all the other tight ends in the field, but in that you've always had a downside, a pro and a con. The downside being that you're weaker at running back and wide receiver than everybody else. And it's very clear. You cover up Kelce and read off someone's team from years past and you're like, team sucks. Oh, it's got Kelce. Okay, it's pretty good. And then because of the advantage, it could kind of squeak into the final 2, 3, 4 teams overall. This is the year where you literally can cover up Kelce when you're looking at someone's roster and go, that's a good team. And then you uncover Kelce and you say, what in the hell happened? How in the hell did he get that team drafting Kelce in round 1? This is a different year to deploy Kelce early draft strategies. Go do it live. Now get out of here.
from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show.